truly, I believe that there are angels in life, or something that, many of us call angels. I believe they affect us in many ways. I think they come in different forms. They're unseen angels. They're angels that come to us in the form of people. I think we're given chances and opportunities every day. We often receive help or encouragement or direction from people, and how we deal with that help or that direction depends on what comes out of that experience for us. And when I started thinking about unseen angels, I started pondering it over more and more. And I thought about the fact that maybe in our lives, people that we have touched or that have touched our lives, who maybe are no longer with us, or actually are with us still in form of unseen angels, and they're actually there to maybe help our lives along, or maybe change some things in their makeup that happened to them in the past. And when I started thinking about that, I began to think about a storyline. And I started thinking about the fact, what about a famous composer who's locked himself away somewhere and he's become a hermit because his life partner died? And he feels guilty, but he also still is the same cocky, somewhat abrasive, sarcastic person that he was in his career. And he now spends his time locked away in this, what has become sort of a mausoleum, or as he likes to say, his prison. And what he doesn't realize is, or what he at least hasn't come to terms with yet, is that the spirit of Lewis is with him all the time. Lewis is the second character in the play. Of course, he never sees Lewis. The audience does, however, and Lewis's spirit is quite bitter with his old partner, and because of the fact that he did get AIDS from his lover, but at the same time he's bitter because he always felt neglected in the relationship. He felt like Sheldon was far more interested in his career and far more interested in writing and composing, and spent so much more time working than he ever did spend with him. So the spirit of Lewis and what's left of Sheldon have locked themselves away at the Hollyhock Inn in upstate New York. Their lives have become lives of quiet desperation. Sheldon is haunted by many of the tunes that he wrote, and he's definitely haunted by one tune that he is currently trying to write. It comes to him all the time, and he plays it over and over again, but he can't seem to ever get the words out. A young woman, who's going to be the third character of the show, comes to the inn looking for Sheldon Mars, the famous composer. What she finds is a man who's truly hidden himself away, even pretends that he's not who he is, and that he's the caretaker of the inn. And we see the interaction between this young woman who has come to interview the great man, the man himself who is bitter in his own way and still the sarcastic sort of asshole that he always was in life, and the interaction between them and the ghost that they can't see, Lewis, who is very funny and very sarcastic and very biting and has lots of comments about Sheldon and lots of comments. But another thing you can also see about him is that even in death, he still loves Sheldon Mars. And that comes in many times. And then you have the thread that runs through the whole thing, which is the song that he just can't seem to get out. And mixed in with all that, you have 9 other songs. Songs such as Invisible Man, which is Lewis's song, where he expresses the fact that he was invisible in life. Sheldon never really saw him for who he really was, and that he was just Sheldon's helper. He always sat in the audience at the shows and applauded during the curtain calls, and then waited out in the hall with the coats. And how Sheldon never really paid attention to him. And another facet of this is that the young woman, Audrian, who comes to interview Sheldon Marsh, also has ghosts in her past. Not ones that are actually there showing up and talking to us like Lewis, but things that haunt her from her past. And these things begin to come back to her and come clear to her when she begins to delve into Sheldon's past and into his reasons for locking himself away. So you have these 3 people, one of whom the other 2 can't see and who we can see, who are picking at and poking at each other and delving into each other's skeletons in the closet. And the one skeleton that's not actually in the closet, that is behind everybody. And you have the song that just won't die, the song that keeps going, and the song that he can't ever get out. And he doesn't get out until near the end of the show. I'd written lyrics for a song called Hollow, which actually was the very first song lyrics that I sent Andy when we started working together. And he wrote a beautiful, beautiful music to it, and Hollow became a very, very good song. And I thought, this is a great song for this show. And that's when I told Andy, I said, you just wrote the first song for this new show that I'm working on called Unseen Angels. Other songs came along. I wrote a song called 3 a.m. and Faking It, which is actually a dual song. It's a song that Audrian and Sheldon do together. Sheldon is talking about the fact that it's at 3 a.m. each morning, he's lying looking at the ceiling, and he can't get past the fact that it's 3 a.m. and it's still the same every day. And Audrian is talking about faking it, the fact that she's faking her way through life. She's faking being happy, faking having a life. And these 2 songs blend together. Audrian has a wonderful song later in the show called Bittersweet Lullaby. But all these songs and all the movements in the show come together, and they give you one continuous story that is full of everything that life is full of. It's full of love and loss and sadness and happiness and bitterness and longing and trying to find your way back and trying to find what you've lost and trying to keep from losing everything else that you have. And it's maybe a resolution, but the main point is there are unseen angels, which is the title song and the finale song of the show. There are unseen angels. Into each and every life come unseen angels. And I firmly believe that. I believe there are a lot of things that come to us. I think there are many of us, I know, hear little voices, our inner conscience or whatever. I feel that maybe those little voices are actually unseen angels saying, do you really want to do that? Do you really want to go in that direction? Do you really want to make this leap of faith, or do you want to continue down a better path? Or maybe, why are you holding back? Why don't you make that leap of faith? You hear those little voices, and how do we know they're not unseen angels telling us, maybe you should go this way, maybe you should go, you know. I feel that every day there are choices we make. And those choices have a lot to do with what happens to our lives from that point. They may be the simplest of choices, they may be the most complicated of choices. But when we come to that crossroads, which way we go will greatly depend on what happens to us, at least in the near future and maybe even in the distant future. And that's, as much as anything, what Unseen Angels is about. The choices we make and the results of those choices. So, once again, this is A. Michael Storm, the Old Story Wizard, 1948, saying, more later, over and out.
How to mend life's frail pieces when we cannot find the glue.